What's going on, guys? So check this out. Another one of those random deliveries to my my shipping address that I get a notification, I show up, and I got a ton of Toro boxes waiting for me. You know, I got to give a big shout out to the folks at Toro. They sure know how to supply a creator with content and equipment that they can actually use. Because if you provide this stuff to some YouTube channels, they just really can't do anything with it. But for me, we got us some property and it is constantly needing to be maintained. So this is really cool stuff. Now, to be honest with you, full disclosure, everything, they did provide this to me at no cost, so I didn't have to pay for any of this stuff. They just provided the equipment. There is absolutely nothing that states I have to say good stuff about this, so it has to perform, otherwise I will let you all know, because believe it or not, sometimes saying it doesn't perform gives you more views than saying it does. So there's actually an interest in some folks to make sure things don't perform the way that they think. So I'm not that person though. I want to make sure that I give you a fair evaluation, so I'm not going to torture test these, but I will use them in the way that they're designed to be used and in the manner they're designed to be used safely. All that said, we have something kind of unique here, and this is something I traditionally wouldn't buy for myself. So had this not been provided to me for evaluation by Toro, I wouldn't have gone out and bought this. And I'll explain why in a second. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about what we have in front of us first, and then we'll talk about why this isn't something I would traditionally buy for myself. This is kind of that modular system to where you get the motor head right here with the string trimmer, and then it gives you the ability to swap this portion out with a pole saw, an edger, or a hedge trimmer. And you simply kind of plug them into place and you're good to go. Makes it very convenient in terms of carrying very few pieces of equipment out with you if you need to do multiple jobs around the same area and you might not be close to your garage or wherever you house stuff. But at the same time, I've always been one to like to buy each tool individually with its own motor, only because if one fails, I have another one that's probably still functional. In the event of something like this failing, right, this main motor head, well, nothing's going to work until I get that fixed or replaced. And that's one of the reasons that I've shied away. Plus, my gut has always told me that this is more consumer than dedicated pieces of equipment. And let me know if you feel the same way. When you're shopping for lawn equipment or stuff like this, do you feel more comfortable buying an independent hedge trimmer, an independent edger, an independent pole saw and string trimmer, or do you like these modular systems because they take up less room and they do a lot more, all based off of one motor head? I'd love to know, so please leave a comment below if you wouldn't mind. This system came with a 2.5 amp hour battery. The battery actually came with this setup right here. So all of this was packaged together. The string trimmer, the attachment, the motor head, the shield, the handle, and the battery and charger. That was all packaged together, and all of these were independently boxed. Now quickly, let's go over some of the specs of what you're looking at in front of you. So first of all, the edger, which is going to be this right here, it's an 8-inch cutting blade, cast aluminum head, variable speed, brushless motor. Brushless motor mainly because the motor is right there, so it controls this, and that does have a brushless motor on it. The string trimmer, which actually came with the motor head and all of that, actually has a 3-phase brushless motor with Run Smart, so I guess it's longer run time, more power, that kind of thing. Variable speed, 14 to 16 inch trimming width, so that's pretty cool. The actual trimmer, hedge trimmer right here, 16-inch cutting blade, 9/10 cutting width, 3,000 strokes per minute, variable speed. Again, that and everything else connects to this. And the pole saw right here has a 10-inch blade on it. So that's going to be really interesting. The pole saw is going to be a bit limiting, only in the sense that it's not going to be able to reach out as far as the dedicated pole saw tool that has the extension. So with the dedicated pole saw tool, I could probably reach out twice as far as I can with this. But it came with a little thing of bar chain oil, which is nice, and the chain's already been tightened up all the way around here. So that's really cool, plus the tools if you need to make adjustments to it. But yeah, that's pretty much the setup right here. And you know, it's going to be interesting to kind of play around with it, plug everything in and see how it works, especially now that we have the dedicated tool line that isn't modular, and we can kind of give you a side-by-side comparison or how it feels to use this versus what we have. Okay, so we have it all assembled. Simply put the handle on, screw this on, and that's pretty much it. And then this snaps into place by sliding it into the groove. Then you'll simply tighten the handle right here. weed eaters up first because I actually have a spot that needs to be weed eated. This battery, I'm assuming, is pretty low, if not dead. Yep, that battery's dead, so we'll get that one on a charger and we'll put a fully charged battery in. All right, so we got the hefty 7.5 amp hour battery out here. We're gonna go ahead and slide this bad boy on. Here we go. All right, so with this battery, it definitely makes the entire assembly a bit heavier, but it sounds a little louder than the standalone unit, but we're gonna see how this thing performs. So let's go over to some tall grass that I have that needs to be trimmed down. Okay, so one of the projects that we do just about every week is to clean this pond out because it gets really nasty after a while, and I don't want to flood a bunch of chlorine into it. But right around the pond, you can see we have a bit of tall grass growing here. Again, this isn't going to be torture testing or too extreme, but Mark's going to be on the weed eater. Let me move this plug out of the way. All right, so what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is just kind of weed eat this area, and let's see how you feel it performs compared to some of the other weed eaters we have. Go ahead and bump it so you can get some more string out. Okay. We moved the hose out of the way, but while he was actually doing this, he turned to me and he mouthed more powerful, or this one's more powerful. And so you've had a chance to use the other string trimmer that we got from Toro, the 60 volt. Now you've also had a chance to use the Echo that we have, which is gas powered, and you've used this one. Again, I've always kind of favored the standalone unit. So whether it was the electric one or the Echo, where do you think this one ranks in terms of performance compared to, I guess, the other Toro first and then the Echo?
I would have to say the other Toro just didn't have as much power, and when you push down on it, it only gave you one speed. As for this one, it is acting like the Echo. I could barely push it, and it goes slow like I need it, and if I push down more,
okay,
it picks up a lot more power.
So this feels more commercial to you?
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think the other Toro does have variable speed. It's just not as, I guess, sensitive as this one is, maybe?
I wouldn't know. Honestly, the feel of it and the way it's performing feels a lot more powerful.
This one does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, the only difference I would say right now between the Echo and this one would just be gas and battery.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that close?
It's that close.
Hold on, you're gonna have to hold the camera because I wanna check this out. Because I've used them both, so. You know, I kind of agree with you. There's some tall grass here. Let's hit that real quick. That it's crazy, but it does feel more powerful. It feels more commercial. The weight too, it feels like there's more heft to it as well. All right. Well, that's the string trimmer. I'm gonna have to say it's a decisive victory for the string trimmer versus the other ones. And I would probably say the advantage to this over the Echo now is this has to be a step up in terms of if we're scoring it, because the Echo requires gas and this one just needs to be recharged. So do you think when we attach these things to the mowers, do you think this will be your new go-to weed eater or the Echo? That's the question. I know you're stuck on, he loves that Echo, but the question is would you prefer this over that?
For what I'm doing around here, yes. Now, if I had to go into there,
into the brush out there, yeah.
The brush in there, that would be the actual test. But for now, I think I'd be using this one a lot more.
That's pretty cool, man. All right, let's switch the attachments out. All right, so we quickly tested the other Toro 60-volt string trimmer, and Mark was right. This one is variable speed. That one kind of seems like it is at first, but no, it seems to just either go all on or all off. So yeah, the ability for you to do this and run it at a much lower speed, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, so decisive victory. This thing is super cool. Let's move on to another tool. Okay, so next up is the edger. So this one's interesting because really it looks like this hybrid between a string trimmer and an edger. In reality, a lot of people who use a string trimmer just use that for edging. So an edger can come in really handy if you want to make a really clean, straight, sharp cut. But I usually don't use an edger. I'll usually use a string trimmer instead and just do my edging with that. But what we're going to do today is put all these tools to test. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. This whole process was just as simple as locking it in place, and now this thing should just, yep. All right, so hopefully we get the similar results from this that we got out of the other one, and this thing performs well, so we'll find out. Okay, so Mark's gonna be holding the camera, and I'm gonna be edging this area right here, which doesn't really need to be edged that bad, but we'll see how it works. Not gonna lie, that thing looks pretty dang good, doesn't it? Let's move over here and do the... I'm going to be honest with you in a couple different ways on this thing. So first of all, very effective, absolutely very effective. It's a little awkward only because I'm not really used to the control of this versus your typical edger that kind of has a different type of handle or grip system that you hold on to. So this is set up more like a weed eater, and when you're using it as an edger, it just feels awkwardly different. Now, I did a pretty good job. The challenge you have with this is you can't start in the edge. You have to start high and lower yourself down, but you don't have a lot of room to do that. That's the only challenge. When you go up on the back tire here, you don't have a lot of clearance room to start lowering it down in to get into that edge. And it feels weird because you feel like you have to lift the whole thing up and kind of press down into the edge to get it to work. Now, you guys saw it works exceptionally well once you get into that groove, but it can stop if you hit something hard or if it goes up against a root or something. It doesn't feel like it has the same type of cutting power as a gas-powered one or even some plug-in ones. That said, it did an effective job, and you might just have to be careful. It is variable speed, so that's also kind of cool about it, is that you can kind of control the speed, but your gut tells you to get the thing going full blast whenever you're moving. But again, it worked well. Just some of the things that I felt were a little different about it was certainly how you put it into the edge and then how you walk with it. But very cool. Anyways, we're going to switch to the, I guess we'll do the chain, or the, I guess we'll do the pole saw last. Let's switch to the trimmer real quick. And real quick, before we swap the head out, there are two speeds on this. So you have speeds 1 and speed 2. Speed 1 is the slow speed. Speed 2 is the faster speed. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing taken off, and we'll switch it over to the hedge trimmers. All right, so we are gonna cut down some Texas hedges. Actually, it's just mesquite branches. Let's see how this thing works. Not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I will say it works well. As you can see, we trimmed this beautiful hedge bush into the shape of a mesquite tree. So it works really well. And now we got a mess to clean up. Okay, so we got the pole saw attachment on now. Much shorter than the other ones that we have, which are probably almost twice as long as this. So we're not going to be able to reach up to some of the trees we might normally be able to reach up to. But Mark is a pole saw aficionado, and he is going to be the one handling the tool today. And we are going to chop at some trees, see what we can cut down with this thing, how strong it is. Hopefully it'll surprise us and it'll be stronger than some of the other stuff we've been using. So that'll be cool. All right, let's move to a tree. Okay, so we found a tree with a relatively low branch. So we hit this branch when we go by it quite often with the tractor. And this is part of a big live oak, and it's one of the branches that's been jetting off, and I've been meaning to cut this part down for a while. So I think where we should cut it, first of all, can we reach it? Let's see if we can reach right here on that lower limb that's coming off. Oh, we can. I don't think we need to cut the whole thing, maybe just the lower portion of it, because that's what all the bush is attached to. Yeah, let's see if we can cut it right there and separate the two. Go ahead. Okay, here we go. I guess hit it from the bottom. Is it just me, or does it seem more powerful or quicker than the other one too? It does, doesn't it? A lot quicker.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a whack at it. I'm going to trim off one of these branches up here. So let's see. Now, real quick, get my arms just so you can see how I'm having to hold this thing to be able to reach up to. So that's the big problem. Yeah, sorry, I'm having to get behind the mic because it's a shotgun mic, but yeah, so that's the big problem you have with this, is your overall reach. You're not going to be able to reach quite as far as you might expect to with your typical pole saw. But I'm going to go and cut this small limb off right here. Yeah, so I pretty much had to be right under it, and that poses other possible safety issues. So if they make an extension to this to spread this out further, that would really be helpful, because it will really be able to get you further away from the tree and up higher, which I think is needed. But you know what I'm going to do real quick? We're going to cut these branches into smaller pieces, and we'll see how it handles that. I'm gonna admit, it feels more powerful and it feels faster than both the DeWalt and the other Toro. Okay, so final thoughts. I kind of blew me away, to be honest with you. I mean, not so big on this part. I probably wouldn't buy this piece here, but, and maybe not this because I really don't have any Hedges, but in terms of the performance, man, it was kind of shocking to see how well this thing performed, especially, you know, since we've been using the individual tools so much, to see just how well this performed in that environment, for us to be able to actually feel a noticeable difference, because we use the other tools all the time, so we really know how dialed in they are and how they feel. Yep, very, very satisfied with it. I'll definitely give you guys an update on how these perform if we have any issues with them over the long run, especially if we get some rain and we can really put these things to the test. Anyways, I'll put a link in the description of this video. This is something you may be interested in. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.